Good evening, this is Maestro Cortello with a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite modcast. Today we have a 3v3 faction warfare on Argus Desert Gate. Had a little bit of a brain freeze right there. Anyway, I'm not too familiar with the players on the cast team, so this is a faction warfare, Chaos versus Space Marines. Hopefully we can expect some Land Raiders, some Terminators, and some awesome stuff. Anyway, our first player is Maitre Yoda as this Plague Champion. Starts off as a ranged hero, a lot like the Techmarine, can also heal like the Apothecary, can upgrade to become a tanky melee hero. We have BjOrN as this blue Chaos Lord, this really tanky and amazing hero. He can be upgraded with some incredible weapons, even though he doesn't start off that powerful. But, I mean, he's just so good in terms of how tanky he is and stuff. Anyway, we have Mr. Z as this red Sindri Trollface Chaos Sorcerer, this Spellcaster, a lot of long-range functionality with Doom Bolts, teleporting, a lot of shenanigans with Exploding Guardsmen with the icon of Tzeentch, Tome of Subjugation, and awesome stuff. That's all you can expect from him. On the Space Marine team, first we have Commissar David Bravo as this Techmarine who has basically no health left. Needs to retreat. A ranged hero can build turrets, repair, just like the Plague Champion. Really good range damage, and some really cool upgrades. Can also get an axe now in the Elite mod. We also have Bada Boom as the Apothecary, this hero who mostly focuses on healing his units. We do see those green hexagons around most of his supporting units. That's the passive heal aura that the Apothecary has. Right now he's doing a sync kill. Awesome to catch that right now. Mostly heals, not actually that good at fighting, but I mean when you're healing units like Tax and ASM, it's pretty damn good. Even a cool fight going down right here. That's why I'm kind of like just letting this run out. Apothecary in a little bit of trouble. Will probably not get wiped though. Finally, we have Progenitor 00 or 00 as this Blood Ravens veteran force commander with that helmet with the those leaves on his side, looking really cool, but ultimately kind of doing nothing. I like this look of the force commanders kneeling down here, kind of looking around a lot, kind of paranoid. Anyway, I've already missed a lot of fighting. Talking about heroes, we already have shotguns and a sergeant on this scout squad. They went for a grenade on the Chaos Space Marines, but they did miss it. BjOrN, these are his Chaos Space Marines. He did kind of pay attention there, and he just moved out of the way of that grenade. So when you have scouts with shotguns and grenades, you can often choose between either going for a shotgun blast or a grenade. That shotgun blast is going to be very reliable, since it has pretty much a 100% chance of working. The grenade's going to be a higher risk option because you might play against someone who's actually paying attention, and they'll move out of the way, and then you'll get nothing. Or you'll get lucky, and or not lucky, or well, you'll get lucky, and you'll like kill one or two models. There was actually one time when I used a single scout grenade, and I somehow wiped a Chaos Space Marine squad from full health. It was really bizarre. We actually had a triple cap from the blue team, a very Chaos Space Marine heavy build, double Chaos Space Marines from all three Chaos players. It's going to be Chaos Space Marines. Certainly, their damage is not actually that great, but then these two Chaos Space Marine squads from BjOrN, already upgraded to Eternal War. I generally don't agree with this, but it is going to definitely give them a bit of a range damage advantage in general in Tier 1. So this is BjOrN, all of BjOrN's forces right here, but I think they gotta go. Getting hit by grenades, taking losses, and we have a Devastator from Bada Boom right here, suppressing them all, and no one on the blue team really with suppression counters, aside from Mr. Z, who is all the way over here, actually using that teleport to teleport in against that Devastator Marine squad. And that Devastator squad, low on health, but the Sorcerer himself low on health. Gonna die himself if he does not get out of there. This could be a wipe. You need to also keep in mind that Devastator Marines are not completely free in melee. They actually can do some damage. Wow, 2 models taken off that Devastator Marine squad. Mr. Z staying in there really long, but ultimately getting out there alive. And heroes do not bleed unless they actually die, so ultimately a good play from Mr. Z. At this point, though, The red team actually pushed up all the way up here and decapped blue's natural with these attacks. Progenitor definitely already losing some units, I'm guessing. He must have had a tack squad. Yes, there are all 3 of those dead tack models right here. Very sad to see that happen. This is actually Maitre Yoda. Now, he must have lost a heretic squad, because this heretic squad is now in the 3rd unit slot. Normally, your starting unit is always in this 1st unit slot in the replay. Plague Champion upgraded to the Sword of Undeath. Gonna make him very good in melee, especially as a melee counter. It's hard to chase down people with the Plague Champion because he's slow, but if units approach, he can be really good against them. Anyway, over here, Chaos Lord manages to get in against this Devastator Marine squad and forces them off. Eternal War Chaos Space Marines are definitely going to counter scouts pretty well. Chaos Space Marines already counter scouts. Right now, this Chaos Lord is kind of walking around. Tzeentch Worship is very good. Tzeentch Worship is going to give these Chaos Space Marines a 20% damage reduction. Although it looks like the Sorcerer is not yet back on the field. It's now a 2-cap again for the blue team. Blue team also going to get a Gen Bash over here. The red team noted and put generators down on this contested power point in the middle. But it looks like it's going to go down, or it looks like BjOrN is actually going to go for that cap. It's always, with those contested power nodes, it's a lot more risky than the natural power nodes. Basically, you can choose to just destroy the generators, deny those generators to your enemy, and then make it so the wreck that he spent on those generators is just straight up sunk. Or you can go for that cap. That gives the power to you, certainly, and that's going to benefit you even more, because then you get generators and a lot of power income without even having to pay for it. But the only problem with that is that you risk giving it back to your enemy, especially since it's the contested generators are just going to be so much more back and forth. So one of the players on the blue team did decide to node this middle generator to deny it a little bit longer, but it already goes down, and it's already going to go back in favor of the red team. So I think these generators might have been better off being destroyed. Chaos Space Marines, a lot of Chaos Space Marines right here, doing a lot of damage, and kind of good play, good flanking play. This Devastator squad changes the firing arc, sees those approaching heretics, but right now it's not covering the firing arc for these. Oh, but there's another Devastator Marine squad. We have good overlapping arcs by the Devastator Marines, and it looks like Commissar David Bravo gets that heal, or that revive on the Apothecary, upgraded to the Sanguine Chainsword, probably the least used weapon you see from the Apothecary, but it can still certainly work. Right now, the Sorcerer is in here, somehow won an engagement, despite it seemed like there being more Space Marines right here, and this Heretic squad was in a lot of trouble. If it stayed in any longer, it definitely would have been wiped, as it is already very low on health. The Sorcerer teleports in here. Sorcerer only with the Vestments of the Warp. With just the Vestments of the Warp, he's mainly going to be more about tying up rather than actually killing. His starting weapon only does 30 DPS. Getting any weapon on the Sorcerer makes him, even though his other weapons don't seem that powerful, it really does make a difference and makes him a lot more killy. Well, we already have Bloodletters out from both BjOrN and Mr. Z, and BjOrN even going for a second Bloodletter squad. Plasma Cannon Devastator out for Bada Boom. I think great in general, great in teams. Sometimes hard to fit in your army composition because you need something with, it's usually just not the functionality you need. You might want to get like a vehicle like this Dreadnought, or you might need a Devastator to deal with a vehicle. It's, in a way, it's kind of a novelty or a luxury, but it can still be very good. And these Bloodletters have shifted into the warp, and being right there, actually just having them there, even though they couldn't actually do any damage because they were in the warp, forced off the entire army that was here. And basically, because if he had kept his army here, he could have risked losing his Devastators entirely. Anyway. Oh, Maitre Yoda uses one of his Chaos Space Marine squads. This one upgraded to the Mark of Tzeentch. I don't know what upgrades we saw on the other one, but whatever upgrades it had don't matter anymore. Anyway, this Plague Champion gets the Fetid Armor. So Fetid Armor is the first armor upgrade choice, and it's actually less common because the other one gives you so much health increase. Anyway, over here, these Bloodletters from BjOrN, some of them get forced off. Chaos Space Marines from BjOrN in cover, but are missing a lot of... So, whoa, what was that? I think that was... Yeah, that was BjOrN's Heretic Squad. Got hit by a grenade from the Scout Marines, and a lot of them died. The Apothecary here, fully kitted out, actually has the armor of the Apothecary, and you don't see that too often. Basically, gives him a healing aura, an ability healing aura that's a lot better than his passive one. Mr. Z has this Chaos Dreadnought. Chaos Dreadnought in general really good. I think it's the kind of the safest and best play you can make with Chaos in Tier 2. It's certainly a very expensive play, but it's worth it. I think it's worth it. He does have to be a little concerned, though, about this Space Marine Dreadnought right here, which is tougher and does more damage in melee. Does not have any range damage right now, except for that Flamer. Oh, all right. Chaos Lord right here has been hit by the Signum Armor. The marked target will take extra damage. Has to be careful of that Dreadnought. Also upgraded to the Lightning Claws, doing 100 DPS power melee. A great choice when playing against any power armor race. Gonna kill Space Marine models as if they were guardsmen. But that Chaos Lord ultimately got forced off. Over here, it looks like the top is going in favor of blue, but the middle is going in favor of the red team. And in this lane, we have Progenitor, who has, I think after having that early tack loss, has kind of amassed a decent army, especially against Maitre Yoda, who's kind of suffering in that sense. Blue team getting a Gen Bash over here. Chaos Dreadnought going to be good at Gen Bashing just because it does explosive damage. And then these Mark of Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines just have great high DPS, so they'll be good at Gen Bashing too. Lots of Gen Bashes for the blue team. I think we're going to have... Oh, and these scouts really have to be careful. Mark of Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, hard counter scouts. They will just die very quickly, and that's one of the good things about Mark of Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines. These Bloodletters have a really strange teleport. Does get them behind that Plasma Cannon Devastator, though, and threatens it enough to force it off as well as those tacks. So, Bloodletters now do power melee damage, so they will be very quickly do a lot of damage to power armor units. They were already very good even when they were heavy melee. We actually have a Plasma Tack Squad from Progenitor. I actually really like that choice. I kind of feel like a Plasma Tack is better than using Crack. I think it's a better choice than getting a Stern Guard squad against power armor races. That's just my opinion. Unfortunately, I don't really have the damage stats for Stern Guard veterans, but I kind of have this sense that a Plasma Tack Squad does more damage to heavy infantry armor than the Kraken rounds or the Kraken bolts from a Stern Guard squad. Anyway, Progenitor is in here, but he's kind of set up backwards, like he's facing backwards, and he's about to get hit by a lot of stuff. He needs help, and especially right now he's backing up into his enemy's base. Units are already teleporting behind him, and we just straight up have a full retreat. He kind of sees what's going on and realizes that that's just a bad situation for him, and he can't even save himself, even with that full instant retreat, save himself from losing that Plasma Cannon Devastator squad. Just takes too many hits from double Bloodletters. Yeah, that was all of BjOrN's forces, double Bloodletters, as well as that Chaos Lord with the Power Claws. And big fights going down right here. Plasma Cannon shots going in against these infiltrated units. But I think Bloodletters teleport in, definitely inflicting some losses. Stern Guard veterans, I don't even know what ammo they're using. They're definitely not using the Kraken rounds right yet, and regardless, they get forced off, taking a lot of losses from that Chaos Lord. This fight definitely going in favor of the Chaos Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines definitely winning at this point, winning on victory points and definitely winning on fighting too. But now this double teleport, this double jump force of the Force Commander and the Assault Space Marines is going to be really good. Progenitor, even with only 3 units left, I think kind of doing well just because he's got some really powerful units out here. He's got the Assault Space Marines and that Force Commander. The Force Commander does not even have to be that scared of the Chaos Dreadnought right now. He can just turn around, Flesh Oversteal it right now, does it right there. He doesn't really have that much AV to follow it up with, but he should have the Force Commander focusing on the Dreadnought and not the Plague Marines. Progenitor does not have any vehicles of his own to really fear that much, even though he does straight up wipe the Plague Marines. Plague Cloud, though, forcing off the rest of Progenitor's units. Over here, it looks like big fights going down, maybe. Mark Target on Heretics. Mark Target on Heretics, I think, is actually a pretty good choice. Since that Mark Target is going to do a lot of damage to a squad that already is really squishy. Terminator's out now for, let's see, oh, that's for Bada Boom. He actually, yeah, he has the ranged Terminators, not like he had a choice. He's the Apothecary. Terminators, I mean, great unit in general. I feel like not as strong in this matchup, though, as in many other matchups. Not with Chaos having Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines. We now have a total of 5 Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines from the Chaos team, and Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines are pretty much the best ranged counter to Terminators and super heavy infantry in general. When fully upgraded, they do about something like 86 DPS. They do full damage to super heavy infantry. Many other units have damage penalties to heavy infantry. And most units that do not have a penalty to super heavy infantry have lower base DPS than Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines. So Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, one of, if not the best ranged counter to super heavy infantry, which of course includes Terminators. This Devastator Marine squad taking way too much damage. It needs to get out of there. It does take a heal, but still I'm a little bit worried it taking all that range fire. This Dreadnought kind of escaping from all the Chaos forces up here. This Chaos Dreadnought upgraded to have the Mark of Tzeentch missile launcher. Gonna make it do some very good AV. And we have a lot of fighting going down here with the Bloodletters teleporting in on Space Marine units. I think that Librarian right here is in trouble, as well as this Scout Squad that's almost dead. I think Scout Squad goes down. Maitre Yoda somehow losing almost all of his units, though, but a lot of losses from the Space Marine team as well. And as good as Tzeentch Chaos Space Marine squads, as good as Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines are, they will still get countered by ASM. But these ASM in against too many units. Assault Terminators now from Progenitor, good choice. I think they will do a little bit better than, well, Assault Terminators still have to fear those Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines. Right now we have this Chaos Dreadnought actually running away from the Space Marine Dreadnought. It definitely will not win a melee fight, and Sternguard veterans now shooting with Vengeance rounds to do AV damage as well. Ultimately, this, especially considering this is Mr. Z's, well, he can't use a warp to teleport it out since his Sorcerer is in a bad position. His Sorcerer is also dead, which is, of course, not good. All Chaos players have a lot of resources, though, so they can start making some big purchases. Mr. Z, they can start potentially either getting Land Raider Crusaders. We actually have... Whose are these? These are actually Maitre Yoda's Chaos Terminators. And wow, a quick unit wipe right there. Something, I don't even know what it was. Wow, another, wow. So these Lightning Claw Terminators, they just did a lot, taking out a Plague Champion as well as a few other units. I don't remember exactly which ones, but they need to be really careful now, because now we have those Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, and of course Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, I just said, one of, if not the best counters, certainly one of the best range counters, if not the best, for dealing with Assault Terminators. And this Assault Terminator squad almost dead. I think it's dead. Wow. That's really terrible for Progenitor. I mean, those Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, just so good. And we have 3 of them right now. Both from Mr. Z and BjOrN. Just a really good unit. And Chaos Terminator's almost dead. Alright, Chaos Terminators I think will get out of there. But that right now, this lone Chaos Terminator is Maitre Yoda's only unit. And right now, Red, low on victory points in general, but they do have a 2-cap. This Techmarine going for the revive on Progenitor's Force Commander. So right now we're getting to the point where we've got a lot of units, a lot of upgrades. fully upgraded Chaos Lord, Lightning Claws, Harness of Rage, and the Dark Halo. That's probably the most tanky build you can get out of the Chaos Lord. Triple cap now for red. Gives him an energy bubble and allows him to restore energy with each hit. And these Lightning Claws attack very fast, so they will do a lot of hits. Chaos Sorcerer, Rod of Warfire, good against power armor races, basically gives you a plasma cannon ability, as well as vestments of the warp for teleporting. We have a Predator out for Commissar David Bravo, but it's been taking a lot of damage from this Chaos Dreadnought, and it now also has to worry about this Land Raider Phobos with its double twin-linked las cannons on the sides, as well as this heavy bolter in the middle with those like snakes or skulls in front. At the end of the barrels. Now, we have a las cannon Devastator, which is certainly going to be good against vehicles, but taking way too much damage. Really needs to retreat right there. And I think actually Chaos, although they lost a lot of stuff, are in a really good position right now. Have the superior vehicles on the field. In fact, right now, the red team with very few vehicles. And right now we're actually seeing a lot of the... So, I mean, traditionally, or at least, I don't know, some people have often said that Space Marine versus Chaos favors Space Marine. And I kind of believe that too. Although I think that's mainly said about 1v1. 3v3 might be a little bit different. Space Marine has generally been considered a stronger 3v3 race than it is a 1v1 race, whereas I think the opposite is kind of true of Chaos. But what we are seeing right here, we're definitely seeing one of the advantages. Oh, Imperial Abyss. Let's stop talking about advantages. Imperial Abyss ultimately does not do much. Kind of a wasted Abyss. Does bring a Terminator back in right here. Chaos Dreadnought, I mean, Space Marine Dreadnought, upgraded to Dark Age of technology, but in a little bit of trouble. Unupgraded scouts from Commissar David Bravo. I think these are new scouts, fresh scouts, replacing old lost scouts. And bada boom now with the las cannon Predator. Wow, yes. So somehow that I think that Chaos Dreadnought was hit by something really devastating. Maybe, yeah, I think it was hit by Flesh over Steel that caused it to get disabled. It was also hit by Marked Target, and then it was taking las cannon shots. Plague Champion dead right here. Maitre Yoda loses Plague Champion, and these, I was about to call them Corn Space Marines. They're kind of like Corn Terminators because they have that autocannon. Autocannon Terminators are very good, and I actually kind of think they're the best Terminator you can get. And now we actually have a Venerable Dreadnought from Commissar David Bravo. So Commissar David Bravo has pretty heavy armor on the field right now between two Dreadnoughts. And, you know, to be honest, a Dark Age of technology Dreadnought is actually kind of about as good as a Venerable Dreadnought. Anyway, a Land Raider Crusader actually goes down. This Venerable Dreadnought running in there, going after those Terminators. And the Great Unclean One is right here. The Great Unclean One is kind of a questionable choice, but we have another Imperial Abyss. This one a lot better. Taking out a few things, I think. I don't know. Okay. A Scout Squad was wiped. I think that was the only unit wiped, though. Other than that, mostly just damage and the retreat. This Techmarine is going to go down, though. And we have a lot of las cannons going on. Both this Devastator las cannon as well as this Predator las cannon. And these units right here, I think are they reinforcing off this drop pod? Yes, they are. Double las cannon Predators. One from Progenitor, one from Bada Boom. Gonna take out all of these vehicles right here. Gonna take out that Great Unclean One. So that Great Unclean One goes down. I don't know if the Great Unclean One was really the best choice. The Great Unclean One, I mean, if you think about your options for Chaos Super Units, Land Raider Phobos right now is mainly going to be a lot of an AV option, as well as being a vehicle itself. You need a vehicle, you need AV to deal with it, and it also does a lot of AV itself. The Great Unclean One is more like anti-melee and anti-infantry. Especially in Elite mod, the Great Unclean One has that passive damage aura, much like the Icon of Nurgle. There goes, wow, another Imperial Abyss. This one definitely gonna wipe some units. wipes those Terminators. A lot of unit losses. So many nukes in this game. But that Great Unclean One, kind of like a melee counter with the Stomp, the passive damage aura, as well as even maybe its ability. Well, the ability, its Vomit, is basically another ability plasma cannon. New Terminators right here. These are for Bada Boom. I think this is his second squad of Terminators. Putting an Assault Cannon on them now, going to make them do... Basically gives them a 30 DPS increase in range damage, which doesn't sound like the greatest, but they already start out with about 100 DPS, and putting that Assault Cannon gives them about another 30, putting them up to about 130 DPS, which is extremely high. And I believe the Assault Cannon also has better range than the Storm Bolters, which also means better range than most other units. So it's a lot of damage. And I think it has better range with that Assault Cannon. Anyway, it looks like the blue team is actually, they've kind of been, I think after being kind of forced off up here, they're actually going down here, maybe going to try to get a decap on Red's natural. And look at all that Zinch fire. Takes out a Plasma Cannon Devastator. Probably going to take out, it takes out the Las Cannon Devastator too. And then Assault Terminators teleport offensively, upgrading to those Lightning Claws again. But again, there are so many counters to the Assault Terminators right now. If these Zinch Marines turn around and start firing at the Assault Terminators, they will start taking a ton of damage. Oh, but this Venerable Dreadnought really actually overpowering those Zinch Chaos Space Marines. And this Las Cannon Predator is trying to take out the other Las Cannon Predator, but it's taking too much damage, especially with that Land Raider Phobos for support, having the two twin-linked Las Cannons of its own. Red gonna get this top VP back, but Red does not even have their natural. This Predator needs to get out of there, or it will take... Oh, so this Predator, it stayed in there long enough to finish off that Bloodletter squad, but then it gets finished off by the Land Raider Phobos. Man, and this Chaos Lord, wow, Chaos Lord level 10. So this Chaos Lord, I mean, he's basically like a Terminator himself. A Terminator that can retreat but can't teleport. He's going to be doing a ton of damage now with 100 DPS power melee claws at level 10. Incredibly tanky with an energy shield. Basically right now has 2,700 hit points. He's got the Dark Halo and is going to regenerate that 2,700 hit points. Las Cannon Predator from the Chaos team goes down though. Lots of metal boxes in this replay. That's kind of what I was told. Lots of metal boxes. Zinch Chaos Space Marines are going to go down, I think. Yes, definitely. Oh, man. Oh, a double snare. Wow, I think this is Orbs of the Omnissiah snaring the Land Raider Phobos as well as both of his own Dreadnoughts. Not the greatest play, but it's kind of happened. And I think this Land Raider Phobos is done. Yes, it is. But now the dueling Las Cannon Predators, this one taking damage, can't even get away because they have the same speed. So this Las Cannon Predator is done. We're not even going to get a Flesh over Steel fast enough. Oh, but this Las Cannon Predator starts targeting different units, so it doesn't get shots off on the Space Marine Predator. Space Marine Predator level 3. Wow, this Space Marine Predator gets out of there. Shouldn't have even gotten out of there. And now a regular Predator autocannon getting that Las Cannon, and we've seen a ton of Predators in this game. And almost all of them have Las Cannons. And one of the reasons we see that is that pretty much as long as both teams have access to Predators, if one team has Las Cannons and the other doesn't, the team with the Las Cannon Predators is just going to win. Orbital Bombardment right here, going off on a single Chaos Space Marine squad. Not even going to wipe it. We have, I think, either Terminators or some kind of summoning circle. Terminators teleporting right in there against attack squad with plasma. And these Terminators are actually force meleeing that Predator, which is getting the extra armor. So much stuff going on in this replay. It's hard to keep up with everything. I think the Space Marines, I was going to say they will get off this cap, but now... Oh, another Imperial Abyss. You've got to be kidding. So much death and destruction in this replay. BjOrN might even lose his own Chaos Terminators to that Imperial Abyss. Does get them out of there. He's actually standing his Chaos Lord in there, but his Chaos Lord goes down. I think trying to get the cap in the Abyss, hoping the Chaos Lord was just tanky enough to deal with all of that. So much death and destruction in this replay. I'm actually loving it. So many vehicles, so many super units too. Here's another Las Cannon Predator. I'm actually surprised how well Commissar David Bravo is managing to get so much out of his Dreadnoughts when there's so much ranged AV to deal with. That. I mean, his Venerable is gone now. I missed it going down. But he has this level 4 Dark Age of Technology Dreadnought, which obviously must have a ton of kills. Now we actually have Assault Terminators. These are obviously Progenitors. With the Lightning Claw is going to do a ton of damage. Las Cannon Chaos Predator taking Plasma Cannon shots. The Plasma Cannon shot actually needs to go over here and angle towards the building because Las Cannons are anti-garrison. Oh, but now those Chaos Space Marines jump out of the building. They are shooting at the Terminators. 3 Predators. Wow, there's nothing that Chaos Predator could have done against 3 Predators. 4 Predators in total. Here's that 4th Predator. Oh my god. So the Plasma Cannons need to face the building. They will start wiping Chaos Space Marine squads if they start shooting at the building. 1 Chaos Space Marine squad going to go down right here. And right now it's actually, this game, certainly for most of this game, it's been impossible to tell who could win and who hasn't. I mean, wow, another Chaos Space Marine squad went down. So I think at this point, with all the losses that the blue team is taking, it's probably going to go in favor of the red team. Blue just taking way too many losses. They still have a lot of resources. Mr. Z can do an Imperial Abyss. Maitre Yoda almost has enough to do an Imperial Abyss. Predators are still dying, though. And this Plague Marine squad, almost dead, probably going to die. And I think part of the reason we're having a lot of death and destruction is that there are so many kills. So many kills have been happening in this game. Wow, and there goes another Dreadnought. Dead Dreadnought. So many kills have happened in this game that I think both teams have been leveling a lot. All Chaos Commanders are dead. And I think at this point, Angels of Death probably going to seal the deal here for the red team. What a crazy game, though. So I wasn't familiar with any of the Chaos players, and I mean, certainly I don't want to badmouth the players on the red team, but they aren't the highest level of players. We don't have another replay with like Riku, Tex, Toilali, all that stuff, but this has been a pretty incredible game. And yeah, Progenitor calls it GG. I don't think there's no way that blue can come back from that at this point. I would like Mr. Z to throw down that Imperial Abyss just for the fun of it. Basically because he has the red. Like, just do it right now. Just for fun. And that is the game. Quite a crazy game. I think it was Commissar David who sent this replay to me. I'm having trouble distinguishing between the real names of people sending their emails. Like it's like I got an email from Austin, and it's like I don't know who Austin is, and then David sent me a replay, and it's like I don't really know quite who these people are when I see their real names. But anyway, oh, I mean, actually I'm stupid. I guess if some guy named David sent me a replay, then it probably was Commissar David. But anyway, really good replay. Faction Warfare. Let's check the levels. Level 10 Techmarine has that Meltagun, Signum Armor, Orbs of the Omnissiah. Level 7 Apothecary. Apothecary, not even that killy of a commander. You don't see him level a lot. Sanguine Chainsword, Armor of the Apothecary, and Improved Medical Equipment. Level 10 Force Commander. Power Fist. Armor of the Alacrity. Teleporter Pack. Plague Champion, only level 4, kind of surprising. Level 10 Chaos Lord, can't see his war gear, and level 8 Chaos Sorcerer. Anyway, really incredible game. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Please have a good night.